Who was Princess Diana's friends? Freddie Mercury. The princess and the musician had fun together because they were practically soulmates. Probably their bond was strengthened by the fact that Diana supported the homosexual community and patients with immunodeficiency syndrome through various public appearances and speeches. The princess was so moved by the plight of people infected with this terrible virus that she even once visited and talked to patients. This gesture opened the eyes of the society to this problem because before Lady Di's action many people were afraid even to touch HIV-infected people. Since Diana was a member of the royal family, her movements had to comply with the strict rules of royal protocol. But in 1988, Lady Di broke all the restrictions. One night was a major event for both Diana and Freddie. It all began when a large company gathered at the home of one of the musician's buddies, including the princess. They were drinking and watching television, laughing and impersonating people from the screen. The laughter consisted of improvising character dialogues that reduced sound, thus creating very funny stories. Later, the company decided to go to a club. Diana couldn't miss continuing the fun, but royal restrictions would not allow her to dance at night in an unfamiliar London location. So Freddie came up with the idea of disguising the girl by wearing a military jacket and sunglasses with a cap. So a company went to the Royal Vauxhall Tavern gay club. Later, a member of the evening, Cleo Rocos, recounted it in her book. "We slowly made our way through the crowd until we finally made it to the bar. We laughed and nudged each other like naughty school kids. When we walked into the club, we thought, damn. It's obviously Princess Diana. She could be exposed at any minute. But people just didn't seem to pay any attention to her. And she loved it." Diane and Freddie giggled all evening. Later they ordered themselves a white wine and a beer. Looking at her in the half-light, we decided that the most famous icon of the modern world might just pass for an eccentrically dressed non-traditional model. After 30 minutes in the club, the company decided to leave the noisy place to keep the mystery a secret. The princess and the musician later said more than once that it was the funniest night of their lives, which was never meant to be repeated. Liza Minnelli. Princess Diana and Liza Minnelli met in the early 1990s during one of the Hollywood Stars concerts. I met her when she came backstage after one of my shows in London. We exchanged a few words. Then we often met at different events, where Diana was the guest of honor. We liked to communicate, we had a lot in common, Liza Minnelli said about her friendship with Princess Diana. She continued, "One day we talked for a long time over tea, discussing our similar problems, and then we had lunch in the restaurant of the hotel where I was staying. And that was the beginning of our warm friendship. I am very happy to admit that I had a friend like her in my life." Diana loved music and could talk about everything. She was very interesting to talk to. It is noteworthy that the memory of Princess Diana has remained in the heart of Liza Minnelli to this day. According to Western tabloids, it is she who is currently helping Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to settle in Los Angeles and start a new life outside the British royal family. Elton John. Princess Diana and Elton John had a long but complicated relationship. The singer had been close to the British royal family since the early 1970s when he was invited to Kensington Palace for dinner, but he had never become as close a friend as he had with Princess Diana. They first met at a royal soiree in 1981. It was Prince Andrew's 21st birthday. And John was asked to come to the event and sing for the guests. He agreed and arrived early. John recalled, "When I arrived, no one was there except the dance team and Princess Diana. We danced at Charleston alone for 20 minutes. The evening became more lively when Princess Anne and the Queen joined in. The meeting with Diana led to a strong bond between them." The musician noted, "She was endowed with an incredible ease of communication, the ability to talk to anyone and still seem very ordinary." Elton John got along well enough with Princess Diana to meet and interact with her children, and he especially loved Prince Harry. He said, "What a pleasure it was to see this boy grow up and embody his mother's warmth, sense of humor and courage to stand up for what he truly believes in." Elton has remained on good terms with Harry over the years and even sang at his wedding in 2018. In 1990, Elton John and Princess Diana's friendship went into a difficult phase when they could not find common ground on one book. Diana was supposed to write the introduction to a photo book intended to help the AIDS Foundation, but she decided to abandon the project. The problem was that the book included photos of the royal family as well as shots of nude male models. John later noted, "I think Buckingham Palace didn't like the idea of a member of the royal family having anything to do with a book that showed pictures of naked guys with towels thrown on, and Princess Diana, not wanting to upset the Queen, decided to distance herself from the project." This incident led to the princess and John not communicating for some time. But their paths crossed again when tragedy struck in July 1997. They lost their close friend Gianni Versace, who was murdered outside his home. They met at the funeral and bonded over their shared loss, and Princess Diana gave John tremendous support at that moment. He said, "She kept her cool and composure for me. When I started sobbing, she hugged me. And that was all Diana was." The musician recalled, "I loved her because she did so much to fight AIDS and was a good friend to me. We had quarrels, but in the end we made up." Michael Jackson. The British princess and Michael Jackson had a special relationship. What was this special relationship? The fact that Lady Di was a fan of the musician's creativity. Michael Jackson, for his part, was fascinated by the wife of the British Queen's son, Prince Charles, and admired her indefatigability and desire to help people. Of their first meeting, Michael recounted, "I first met her at my concert in London. She was very kind, very nice. I wrote the song Dirty Diana. It wasn't about Lady Diana. It was about these girls who were always at concerts, in clubs. They were called groupies. And I wrote a song called Dirty Diana, but I excluded it from the show in honor of Her Royal Majesty, and she called me back and asked me, 'Are you going to sing Dirty Diana?' I said, 'No, I excluded her from the show because of you.' And she said, 'No. I want you to do it, sing the song.' And she said she was honored to meet me. And I said, 'It's an honor to meet you.' Already after the first meeting and a brief chat, the famous performer made a very generous donation of £300,000 to the Prince of Wales Foundation. Later, the pop king made a luxurious gift for Princess Diana's sons, Princes William and Harry. Michael Jackson prepared custom-made jackets especially for them, similar to the one in which he himself performed. At the time, even the grandchildren of the Queen of England herself could not dream of such a gift. It was only through their mother's charms that such a thing was possible. We both lived like animals trapped in a cage. We talked about it a lot. Those conversations brought relief to both of us," Michael says. As you know, the song Privacy on his latest album is dedicated to Diana. Michael did not personally attend Diana's funeral in Britain. He attended a memorial service for Lady Di in Los Angeles. Jackson cancelled his concert that day. He dedicated the next two to Diana. Gianni Versace. The 90s were a real thaw for Welsh style. After her divorce from the prince, the strict protocol requirements were no longer mandatory, while the interest in her person was growing and her fashion influence was only strengthening. So for the designers who worked on her outfits at this time, it was a stellar time. One of the people who noticeably refreshed Diana's closet at this time was Gianni Versace. True, the close cooperation between the two iconic personalities was not formed immediately. The Versace clan was approached by Anna Harvey, the princess's stylist, and she did it very cautiously. The Welsh stylist decided to act through hairdresser Sam McKnight, who often worked at Versace shows. He asked Donatella to suggest some photos of images for a very high-profile person, whose name must remain a secret for now. She, of course, turned out to be Diana, and soon Diana was already glittering on the cover of Harper's Bazaar magazine in one of the creations of the Italian house Versace. Donatella Versace said, "Gianni sewed a tight blue dress with gold cufflinks for Diana, and Sam McKnight made her iconic haircut shorter and licked her hair back. This was the look she posed in, liberated, strong, able to take her life into her own hands." The firm, as she called the royal family, took the title away from her, but Deep proved she never needed it. Princess Diana learned of what had happened to the fashion icon when she was aboard a yacht in the Mediterranean with Dodi Al-Fayed. She released a statement saying, "I am devastated by the loss of a great and talented man." According to Al-Fayed's bodyguard Lee Sansom, the distraught princess asked him if he thought she would suffer the same fate as Versace. "Do you think they will do that to me?" Sansom recalled her asking him. Another designer friend, Roberto Dvorak, claimed that Diana really feared that the royal family was plotting to get rid of her. "They would do it when I'm in a small plane, in a car when I'm driving, or in a helicopter," she allegedly told Dvorak. A little more than a month after Versace was killed, Diana, Fayed, their driver Henry Paul and royal bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones were involved in a car accident while trying to escape the paparazzi in a Paris tunnel on the Pont Alma.